Hello everyone! Batman v Superman, the review is here. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is a comic book movie, naturally, about three superheroes. Not two, three. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. It's directed by Zack Snyder and stars Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jesse Eisenberg, Amy Adams, and Jeremy Irons. I got everyone, sorry. I spent like 5 minutes trying to memorize his name ahead of time, and yeah, I just got it. It took a while. Basically, in this movie, Superman is feeling the repercussions of what happened in the Man of Steel movie. Like, he destroyed an entire city, and, you know, he's doing some good, and people are seeing that he's good, but he's also kind of a god. And, you know, for the most part, people are very optimistic, but then there's a lot of people that want this god to answer to our laws. And that is where there's a conflict between Superman and the government, as well as Batman, who serves the government and does not like Superman because someone very close to Batman was hurt by Superman's fight with General Zod. Along the way, they meet Wonder Woman, and there's a few superhero cameos, and wow, this movie was great and terrible at the same time. Let's start out with some positives. Now look, Batman v Superman, lots of movie reviewers have said this already, but this is a stunning looking movie. It is beautiful. The CGI is great. The action is awesomely filmed. There's this one scene with Batman in a warehouse, my favorite scene in the whole movie. And generally Batman, everything that had to do with Batman was perfect. If this movie was just taking the Batman bits out of the movie and making that its own movie, this movie, I would probably give it an A+. The entire Bruce Wayne Batman backstory is really interesting, and there's this one sequence right at the beginning of the movie. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it has very important repercussions and explains the motivations for Batman throughout the movie, and it's amazing. And the whole thing, everything with Batman is just amazing. Ben Affleck as Batman, wow, this guy is Bruce Wayne. Like, I saw Batman Begins and I was like, oh, this is Bruce Wayne. And now I'm watching Batman v Superman and I'm like, wait, this is Bruce Wayne. This is a Bruce Wayne we've never seen before. Like, one of the things that people complain about sometimes is that Bruce Wayne, throughout his entire moral code, he's shooting people left and right in this movie. I don't consider that a spoiler. I'm sorry if you do. But he is killing people left and right. And the thing is that Bruce Wayne, in every other Batman movie, almost every other Batman movie, had this moral code. No killing. And now he doesn't have it anymore. And people, especially some of my favorite movie reviewers, are going like, what? What's going on? Why is he killing people? But otherwise, Ben Affleck as Batman is great. Jeremy Irons as Batman is great. I love everything about both those two characters. Everything about Batman, really. Henry Cavill as Superman, he is pretty good. Now, before we do get into the negatives of this movie, and I've already mentioned a couple of them, like with the Batman moral code, but before we get into the biggest negatives, there's just a few more good positive things that I have to talk about. First of all, the action. The action, as I think I've already mentioned, is beautifully filmed. There's breathtaking CGI, amazing visual effects. Everything about this movie looks perfect. The action is incredibly choreographed. I just loved watching the action scene. And do Batman and Superman fight? Yes. Is it very long? No, but is it worth it? Yes. That fight is the most amazing fight I have ever seen, ever. I have not seen a lot of movies. And also, one of my favorite shots that Zack Snyder keeps using all throughout both Man of Steel and Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is the zoom shot with Superman, and even, I think, 1 or 2 times with Wonder Woman as well. Basically, as Superman and sometimes Wonder Woman are flying towards an enemy and hitting them, the camera doesn't just, like, follow them, it zooms with them. And when they're, like, you know, flying around, it'll zoom in and zoom out, and these amazing zooms, I'm saying the word zoom a lot, but it's great. It just looks fantastic. It's super exciting to see those shots. You wonder how they accomplished them, then you remember computer, but, you know, it's great. You don't think computer when you're looking at this. You know it's there. It's not at the forefront of your mind. The forefront of your mind is, whoa, this is great. Alright, now, I've talked enough about the good stuff in this movie so that you guys don't just, trot all over me because thinking I'm a piece of crap. Because I do like a lot of the things in this movie. However, there's a lot of problems, namely in the plot. I'm going to just say something that Dan Murrell of Screen Junkies said on their Screen Junkies show review of this movie. This movie is really 5 movies in one movie, and that's its biggest problem. Zack Snyder has a hard time balancing all these different plots. The 5 movies are a Superman sequel, a solo Batman movie, a Batman v Superman movie, a Lex Luthor movie, and a Justice League setup movie, and that last bit by far is the worst part about this whole film. Now, this many plots can work in a movie, and we've seen it work in a movie before, but sometimes the setups can just get a little bit too much in there, and you are very much reminded of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Avengers Age of Ultron, when in the former they try to set up the Sinister Six, and in the latter they tried to set up Thor Ragnarok. Dude, the shoehorned Justice League setup parts in this movie are so lazy. They're so bad. You can cut them from the entire movie and you would not care. These cameos don't matter. They don't matter to the plot. They can be reserved for an end credit scene. There's no end credit scene. There should be. There's one scene, one particular scene with Wonder Woman, learning about these different superheroes. Not necessary at all. If you want to keep that in the movie, put it in the post-credit scene. No one in the movie cares about it. You talk about it in Justice League. Alright? We don't need it in the movie. Man, Batman v Superman focused a lot more on the dawn of justice than the Batman and Superman. But the Batman and Superman parts that were there were pretty good. I've already talked enough about them. What I'm going to say is that the first, 2/3 of the movie is almost this mature political thriller. And Chris Stuckman said that. I've watched a lot of reviews at this point, and I'm like, oh wow, these things that these guys have said, pretty good. It's this mature political thriller, very interesting, very messy too, though. All the Batman and Wonder Woman parts in that first 2/3 is amazing. Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. Now this guy, his parts, he played the kind of twitchy Lex Luthor. He would always be like, and it's not that his performance was bad. I thought his performance was spectacular. I just thought the way that he took that character was not that great. And I feel like they needed to make a different casting choice in order for that movie to work. Also, Lois Lane in this movie, look, Amy Adams' performance as Lois Lane, it's great. But Lois Lane herself, the movie has a hard time making her relevant. Why? We don't need Lois Lane. She's just extra runtime in an already long movie. You know what you should do? Do what the Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron did. Just keep Jane, who's Thor's girlfriend, out of it completely. Keep Amy Adams, Lois Lane, out of it completely. You don't need her there at all. Now, of course, this is all the first 2/3. Amy Adams doesn't really appear in the last third. She has some annoying parts in it, but not really. She's not the focus, obviously. She is a big focus in the first 2/3, which was annoying the hell out of me during the entire movie. The other last 1/3 of the movie, when you're looking at some of the things that's going on here, it's almost as if the CGI directors and Zack Snyder were just like, here, you know what? We need some sparks. Let's throw some sparks there. Oh, let's add a little bit of lightning here. Let's add some little bit of, touch-ups here. Just put every filter in there. Just throw everything you can. Everything. Make this the most epic battle ever. And you know what? It just did not work for me. I felt like a little bit too much was going on. It still did not look like a computer-generated thing. It did not look like it was computer at all. It looked brilliant, but there was so much. And I feel like they focused so much on that and not enough on the dialogue between the 3 characters. I don't think Superman and Wonder Woman speak to each other at all during the movie. But really, I feel like if there was more dialogue, if there was more emotion. The entire reason why the Batman v Superman fight is great is because there was good build-up and there was good emotion during the battle. There was none of that during this final battle. And the first part with the mature political thriller, I've said, that's a mess. The second part is also, not as interesting, and it's connected with that awesome Batman v Superman fight. And you know what? I don't like a lot of this movie, but I'm going to say, watch the movie just for that. In conclusion, Batman v Superman is a gorgeous movie with breathtaking effects. Sometimes, a little bit too much of that, but generally brilliant effects with amazing performances all around. Some performances are some performances don't work for me, but for the most part, they're amazing. Especially everything to do with Batman was great. The plot itself is a bit of a mess, but that one fight between Batman v Superman, which is what everyone came to the movie for, even though it's a little bit short, it is worth the wait. I am going to give Batman v Superman a B. I do want to say that if you did watch the trailer, the first original trailer, you basically knew everything that was coming in the movie. So if you haven't seen that trailer yet, please don't watch the trailer. It's not good for the movie because you're gonna know everything that's happening in the movie and then you're just gonna be annoyed.